This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by my good buddy, Mr. Clinton Bonner, for the 2024 Seattle Seahawks schedule release. Clinton, you're on the road. You are in a hotel room, but you are here, and we are reacting live to the Seahawks schedule release. How you doing, man?
Love it. It's my favorite day, my favorite off-season day. I somehow like this more than the draft. I don't know. I just do. Love the draft, but this is like a plus. Who do we get to play? Where are we going? Brandon, where are we going? Where are we at? I haven't looked at it yet. Coming hot out of the convention. So I'm in my hotel room. Don't even know who we're playing yet. So this is all just live reaction. I'm fired up for it, dude.
This year we've got several leaks ahead of the release. So we probably knew about 5 or 6 games going into this, so that part was kind of fun. But now I enjoy the fact that you haven't had a chance to look, and now you'll get to react live. Everyone also gets to look at my bottle of Niners Tears I'm drinking this evening. Perfect. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Perfect time for that. Let's bring on those Niners Tears. I hope we got a prime time against them so we can get some retribution, but I don't even know that yet.
See, the thing about the schedule release, now we can start making plans. Sojin in the chat here already booking hotel for the Falcons game. And I have a feeling we're going to be booking some time here for games coming up. And I have a fancy presentation to show off for everybody watching along on YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Give us a like, give us a subscribe there. Of course, if you just want to listen, that's okay too. And you can subscribe to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts. Let's get into it, Clinton. Week 1 at home.
Let's go.
Starting off with the Denver Broncos and first-year quarterback Bo Nix coming in to Lumen Field for his first pro NFL game. Not going to be having to deal with Russell Wilson anymore, but hey, there we go. Bo Nix and Cody Barton coming to town as well with those Broncos. I initially I had it as key additions, and then with week 1, I thought it would I put additions.
Brandon, I think your troll game is strong early. I mean, week 1 here. So, hey, it's been, 2 years ago now, the start of the Geno Smith era. And yeah, I say that no sarcasm. That's what kicked us off 2 years ago, right? So 2 years ago, Geno getting the W in the Action Greens. We'll be home this time against the Broncos. Hey, what could you ask for, right? Rookie, brand new system, right? Not a top 10 team by any stretch. I think it's as good as it gets in terms of we're home and we're playing a meh Broncos team. And we'll see how it goes.
We will. And then we go on to week 2 and another first-year quarterback getting his start potentially with Drake May. We'll have to see if he ultimately ends up starting for the Patriots, but that would make a lot of sense. And yeah, so 2 teams that finished outside the playoffs to start the year, and also this will be the first matchup then with our first-year head coach and their first-year head coach and Gerard Mayo with Bill Belichick leaving.
So that's great. I think this is another. Hey, I don't think we could ask for a better 1-2 rookie, like you said, 2 rookie QBs, et cetera, et cetera. The part that might be disruptive is a guy I live in town with. This guy Jack. He's like, hey, Seahawks Pats, you could take my 4 tickets, pay face value. And then he texted me earlier. I didn't know about this when he goes, dude, it's the Pats home opener. So I wrote back and said, does that mean I can't have the tickets anymore? He hasn't written me back yet, but I will ask. I'll just be like, Jack, you said, but I don't know what it will be. But because that's a short drive for me, I'd love to get to that one, of course. And Brandon, we had talked about maybe y'all coming out to Boston. So we'll see. But that's again from a Seahawks perspective. I mean, Brandon, what more can we ask for? Bo Nix and Drake May as a 1-2. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I think we need to make a public call for Jack to hand over the tickets. You made a deal with Clinton. Now honor it, despite it being the home opener. You weren't going to go anyway. It's going to be a loss. Save it for when the home opener is going to be a win, and call it good.
Love it. Come on, Jack.
But yeah, we'll see. Jacoby Brissett may be starting for New England, but if it is a first-year quarterback, that would be an interesting start week 1 and week 2. All right, week 3. The Dolphins. Seattle is back at home, and they face the first playoff team of the season. Also, Jordan Brooks, Odell Beckham, some additions to that Dolphins team. back at home. And this could be the first, I mean, it's going to be interesting either way with a first-year head coach, but this would feel then like the first real challenge, especially when you think about the wide receiving crew for the Dolphins and then going up against that Seahawks defense.
3 AFC matchups to start. That's just interesting. The piece that for this game, I wish we were getting the Dolphins a little later potentially. We never know with injuries what's going to happen. Tua hurt, et cetera. Tyreek pulls a hammy, whatever. That's going to happen in the course of the season. I just wish we got the Dolphins when the weather might be worse. South Florida team, get them to a 41-degree Seattle day. That I think advantage Seattle. This is a little bit more like, good chances of better weather. We'll see. Wish it was a little later in the season for that reason alone. With all that, 3 AFC to start, that's at least interesting. It's, Miami's good. And for me, the McDonald matchup versus a team that does a lot of their own things on offense, tons of motion, tons of trying to confuse defenses. So this might be like a really cool early strategery matchup to see what can McDonald do versus some of the newer offenses in the NFL. That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, the battle of the two Mikes at the coaching staffs. And yeah, I think of that Dolphins receiving crew when you have Jalen Waddle, you got Odell Beckham, you got Tyreek Hill. So that up against the Seahawks secondary, I think that's just going to be one of the more fun matchups early on, I think, and a good kind of measuring stick for our team after the first couple of weeks to see if they can build off of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Going to week 4.
I was going to say Pats again. Wow.
We're double dipping against the Patriots. No, I just hit the back button. Week 4, the first primetime game for the Seahawks on Monday Night Football in Detroit, where the Seahawks have fared pretty well over the last couple of years. Again, back-to-back matchups against playoff teams. And Jared Goff, he just got paid, but he hasn't been able to beat Seattle.
Looking forward to another pick 6 from one of our DBs. Hey, there's Lumen East. We know that's the Meadowlands. We're playing there. This is becoming Lumen Central. So until the Lions could shut us up, this is Lumen Central. This is our house. Just another home game. I think we got 11 home games. I think Field Goals had a little fun with that earlier this week. So home game in Detroit. I like it.
Yeah, odds are better than not that Jared Goff will be throwing an interception in the second half, James. So yeah, if you can already lock that in, send an email to us for PNW Prop Stars. This is something that we need to make sure to lock in on Prop Stars Day. All right. Moving on to week 5, back at home, New York Giants. So after a couple of playoff teams, now we face the New York Giants, and they made some nice additions. Maybe a Drew Lock revenge game. I don't have him here among the additions, but if depending on Daniel, how it goes with Daniel Jones and his injury issues, maybe we see Drew Lock back in Seattle for this one.
We might, for his sake as a human, that'd be cool for him. For our sake, I'm not sure that'd be better for our deal. This is an interesting spot, I think, for the Giants because this could be a big time transition year. Like, can Daniel Jones get back to 2 years ago, that game against the Vikings in the playoffs, look really good, look really crisp, gets $40 million, and then kind of falls apart again? I know he was injured, mainly because Seattle just berated him that entire game, which was fun. But this is an interesting spot for, I think by this time this season, the Giants will really know what do they have. And so a bit of a barometer game for them, which I like being in the middle of that. Because this is like year 3 for their coach. They extended the quarterback who may or may not be the guy. So I would love to, this would be kind of fun, Brandon, if they walk out of here and they're like, well, that's it. We got to blow it up. We got to blow it up completely. That'd be a kind of a fun thing to do the Giants.
There we go. See, keep Daniel Jones in, and then it's the Seahawks that destroys him, much like they did last year. And then they have to transition to Drew Lock. He starts out the rest of the year and goes on to much success for the Giants. How about that?
Deal.
We've got Samuel Gelber coming in as our live executive producer with a $12 super chat. Says, can't listen live, but I'm guessing what you guys say will be awesome and correct tonight.
Well, Sam's a smart man for all the reasons and a kind of generous man too. So Sam, thank you, dude. That's awesome.
Moving on to week 6. we finally get into our division rivals, and it's going to be in prime time. Thursday night football at home against the dirty San Francisco Niners. We can all be drinking Niners tears after we win this one.
So we got a Monday night followed by a regular Sunday, followed by a Thursday. So that 4, 5, 6 is condensed. I know it happens to every team at some point. That's just the way it goes. Cowboys do it every year with Thanksgiving, right? And this is not even 2 Thursdays, but that's a pretty condensed little window right there. Interesting. I like this one. This is cool. This is, hey, good spot. TNF. Look, the Niners are the beasts of the West until they're not. So I just talked about a barometer game for the Giants. Oh, here we go for us, right? This is, are we by week 6, contender, pretender type style, and this will be a big one there. So I'm excited for this. I do wonder with some of the key injuries. I know. Like was it Greenlaw? I forget who tore his Achilles in the game. That sucked. But Hufanga back by this point? Is he healthy? He's a difference maker out there. So it's early. So maybe some of those injuries from last year are still plaguing them, and they're a little bit lighter than they would be on defense. So maybe that's a bit of an advantage there. So, but hey, I am looking forward to Brandon McDonald lighting the frig up of Purdy. Purdy is a fine NFL quarterback with a mediocre arm. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good quarterback until you heat him up. So if we can heat him up, Brandon, at home, TNF, yeah, I'm all about this. This is great.
Yeah, and you mentioned it is condensed a little bit, but if you count the Detroit game as a home game, then it's 4 straight home games, and that also benefits us. It's the Niners that have to go on the road on the short week.
Not just a hat rack. Very smart, Brandon. Love it.
We've got week 7 on the road to the East Coast, not in prime time. So this will be, the Patriots game also at 10 o'clock. I know some people questioning, okay, without Pete, are we still going to be solid at those 10 a.m. Pacific start times? That's going to remain to be seen. And we're going to have a chance to test it out then in the first couple weeks of the first half of the season with the game against the Patriots, and then week 7 against the Falcons. We're going to have to see if it's Kirk Cousins or Michael Penix at the helm by week 7.
I mean, unless Cousins is hurt or not back yet, right? Then it'll be Penix. But I expect Cousins at this point. With that, this game to me is like, I have no idea. I don't know what to expect. Like Vegas seems to think that the Falcons, they have them as the favorites to win their division. It's not saying much for the division. I realize it's a pretty weak division, but still, they're the favorites to win the division. So what does that mean? Vegas probably sees them as like a 9 or 10 win team in a weak division to take it. And so Vegas thinks they're at least pretty good. I don't know what to think about this team. I know they have talent. I know they have the weaponry on offense. And I know I'm pretty sure they have a good young offensive line that like last year would have just bowled us over. So that would be a nice test. But this one's like such a coin flip to me away. I don't even know how to think about this one. We'll have to wait a few more weeks to the season to see to gauge this for me. I don't know about you, Brandon. Anything you could glean yet, or kind of a big mystery box?
It is a mystery box because, like I said, if I were to put Kirk Cousins at quarterback for the season, I think that's where the Falcons, we get away with considering them as the favorites for the division, because that definitely helps them. That's a little disrespectful to Tampa, who won it last year, but I could see where folks are maybe coming from with that. And we've got Dave Bloomquist checking in via the chat. He's going to be coming on here shortly to react with us live. Starstruck by London. Check out his YouTube channel. Big Mac is used to 10 o'clock games. We should worry about 1 o'clock. That's true. Coming over from the East Coast. And now he's going to be coaching primarily at the new time. So let's see how that goes. Moving on to week 8. Here's a home game. Here's a tough one against the Buffalo Bills. Another playoff team that only lost because they went up against the Chiefs in the divisional round. And they're going to have Josh Allen come to town with a new wide receiving crew. Gabe Davis leaving, Stephon Diggs headed out, and they drafted a second-round receiver along with picking up Curtis Samuel. So a little bit different crew for them, but it's still Josh Allen, and he's going to be in Seattle.
You said the big words there, right? Like last year we didn't play even with a 9-8 record, we didn't play that many great quarterbacks last year. We just didn't. And in some pockets, we got lucky where dudes were hurt and we were getting backups, and we were still 9-8. We just were not really defensively. We were in shambles. This is a true test. Josh Allen is the type of dude, clearly top 3, probably top 2, and I think you can make an argument that he's number 1 in certain ways, or Mahomes, and Mahomes is obviously still a top dog. This is a huge test. Josh Allen can take over the game, and he's fairly insane out there. He's certainly fearless. He'll run the ball a lot as well. It's just the type of guy that you could do a lot right on defense and still lose, and still he just moves the chains and makes things happen. Now they've lost a lot of talent as well, Brandon. So what's going to happen with this team by week 8? My big thing with this team has been, and I got some great Bills fans in my life, some dudes that I love. I'm like, look, the moment they blew that game to Kansas City with 13 seconds to go was the moment they were done. That this wave of Buffalo Bills was done. Because why? Because we've seen it before. We know what happens when you lose the heartbreaker. They should have won that game, and I think they would have won the Super Bowl that year, I think, going away. By week 8, there might be a lot of oh my gosh, we're 4-3. What's going on? This team's broken. The culture's broken. We didn't do enough in the offseason. That would not shock me if they're 3-4 or 4-3 at this point, and they're wobbly. And as a franchise, they're wobbly. One last thing on this is it is hard to recruit people to Buffalo. It's not where players want to go. It was for a hot minute when they got hot as a team. If they don't get it right, they could be looking at a long, long stretch of being doomed again, because it's not an attractive place to go if you're an NFL football player for every single reason. So that's going to be fun.
Well, and like Sojin just said here, had it up on screen, might be one of the worst pass catching groups of wide receivers. So it's one thing when Josh Allen had Stephon Diggs to throw to constantly and even Gabe Davis, but it's questionable when you're replacing them with guys like Samuel and Coleman. They're, Samuel's okay, and we'll have to see how Coleman does with the transition, but that's a lot. That's an unknown.
Coleman's interesting because a big dude with incredible vertical, high point guy, cool. Doesn't really get great separation, so we'll see. Lad McConkey was out there and others that they could have had, and they passed on him. Samuel's a nice player, I think, but also I think it's Shakir, right? Shakir is going to be the glue. He's actually really, really good. It's Gabe Davis faded last year, and Stephon Diggs was just not doing much last year. Shakir stepped up. He's a very good wide receiver, and folks don't know him quite yet. By the time this game is coming around, we're previewing it, you know a lot about him. He's a legit NFL wide receiver. He's very good, and Allen loves him. So that dude will be all over the field.
Moving on to week 9. Once again, we have a divisional matchup at home. So both of our divisional matchups out of the gate, home games, week 9 against the Rams. And they've got a new defensive coordinator. They have lost Aaron Donald, though. So this will be our first chance to see what the Rams look like in Seattle without Aaron Donald.
Not much to say about this at this point for me. We'll talk plenty about the Rams and Niners and even the Cardinals, who are clearly getting better. These are always exciting. The one thing is we've talked about, can McDonald match and then surpass McVay from the strategy standpoint? That's what we brought the dude in for. This is a big test. We'll see how it goes. But beyond that, I think the Rams are a pretty darn quality football team. If Stafford's healthy, I think they're a top 5 team in the league. I think they're quite good.
And we've got the bye week 10, right in the middle of the season. How about that?
I could deal with that. That feels like a pretty good place. So nice.
Then we go on the road. So still no matchup with the Cardinals yet, but now we get the second matchup with the Niners out of the way. And as we go on the road and take on them in week 11.
Okay. Well, one thing I'll say about that is you got to 2 weeks to prepare for maybe your top opponent, right? So that's just flat out cool. Get to watch me. I don't know what their break is. I'm not sure from the Niners perspective what their bye is, but whatever. Just another week of watching tape and trying to figure this out. That seems cool to me.
Yeah, and that's a good point as far as when their bye falls because it is in between. Let's see. Maybe Bloomy will be able to pull that up as we're looking at it. It looks like it's between the November 10th and November 24th game. So it looks like it's right in about that same time. I don't have the date handy for this one, but we will move on to week 12. And this is the first matchup with the Cardinals at home. DJ Dallas coming back to Seattle. He wanted us week 1. He's got to wait all the way to week 12 and come back in with Evan Brown.
Will be fun to see the new wide receiver, right? With Barbara Harrison Jr. That's the big win. Cardinals seemingly had a very nice draft. They're building a net new young team, still trying to get it done with Kyler Murray. And again, it's like by week 12, it's either going to be a lot of tumult and Murray's not the guy, or you know what, we're on the right track. He can get it done in this new offense with a second-year coach, and they've got momentum. As Adam would say, hard telling, not knowing what will happen in the first 11 weeks. But to me, those are the two scenarios. People are either like burning the effigy at Murray, saying we got to move on. That's advantage us, or no, Murray can be the guy. We could build around him, and that would be advantage Cardinals. So it's the quarterback, man. It's how important he is, right?
Yeah, and part of that reason why I think earlier you said it seemed like they were improving. That 4-13 record that they had last year, I don't think it was indicative of the play style, and obviously they didn't have Kyler for a lot of that, but their coach had him playing hard, and yeah, could that carry over then with Kyler coming in healthy, new wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., how that's going to work out? Yeah, we'll know by week 12 what we're getting into.
Yep, for sure.
Week 13, back to the East Coast and the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, I put a question mark around his health, especially by week 13. He made it through 4 plays last season. Will he be able to make it through 12 weeks by the time the Seahawks have to go and face him?
I'd like to thank the NFL for putting, I did see that I think the Jets have like a crazy amount of primetime and like television games, right? Is what I believe I saw. So I'd like to thank the, Goodell and the whole NFL for jinxing the Jets once again. So by week 13, we're facing, somebody, Johnny Cutlets or somebody's in for the New Jersey Jets. And I'll probably be at this one. So by the way, for the folks that don't already know, I live in Connecticut. This is easy to get to. I will definitely be at this game. So, for the New Yorkers and the East Coast folks, this seems like a fun one to go plan for.
There we go. So if you can't get your tickets to the Patriots, then this is your fallback plan, but you'll probably be going to both.
I want both. Yes.
Week 14. So we had the Cardinals not too long ago. Here we go again on the road in Arizona.
Yeah. So, second verse, same as the first with this one, except for now we're away in the burial ground. So we'll see how it goes. I don't love the NFL doing these play the team twice in 3 weeks thing. At least this year, it's not the 49ers, and one of them doesn't ruin Thanksgiving. So I can be thankful for that.
That's right. Back at home and
Sunday night. I didn't know.
Sunday night football, but this is within that flex window. So depending on how the Packers are doing, depending on how the how the Seahawks are doing, could that be flexed out? But a nice matchup down the stretch against a playoff team that was hot going into the playoffs last season. They almost had the 49ers, but ultimately got bounced.
Yeah, it should have. It only made the 49ers tears that much sweeter when Mahomes took them down that you were drinking earlier. This is a really good team. I think they're pretty darn good. Good division as well, or at least the top heavy with the Lions and Packers. We're battling for a while there. And again, Jordan Love, Adam Emmer from our side was right about Jordan Love, was right early about Jordan Love. Had to go through many, many years where he just didn't get to play and then was really wobbly the first half of last year. And then he was just on fire. He was just a man on fire. So interesting team, young wide receiving crew, very young wide receiving crew, young tight end group. I was shocked a little bit that they moved on from Aaron Jones the way they did. And I like Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is a nice back. But Aaron Jones to me was a bit of a heart and soul guy for that team. And like, he represented to me what this era of Packers is and was, and they just moved on. So we'll see if they're better or worse for that maneuver in the backfield. Hard telling at this point, but again, a quality team with a high performing quarterback. So never easy.
And then week 16, we're going to know a lot about the quarterback situation in the Vikings by week 16, drafting JJ McCarthy. Will he be carrying the team by the end of the year? What kind of team is this going to be with them, with him at the quarterback spot? And the Seahawks got this game at home December 22nd. So closing in on Christmas, and this will be, a home game I think the last home game of the season, in fact.
Okay, so a little foreshadowing for the next two. I think JJ's playing by this point, and I think a lot sooner, potentially week 1. For me, why not? And I like JJ, so I think he's a good quarterback. So that's, for me, that's what it's all about by this point. They have wide receivers, and I like JJ on I like him, who I think is like a precision quarterback, knows how to read things pretty quickly, and played in a modern NFL offense. Even though he didn't throw the ball that much at Michigan, he was great on third downs, and I think that's huge. So you throw him out there with a couple of stud wide receivers, and I know this is in Seattle, but JJ playing like on a fast track in Minnesota with some studs, I think it's a great spot for them. I think this game will end up being more difficult than we think it is now because of those things.
A lot of it is based on how McCarthy's going to perform in that offense. It does seem likely that it'll be a spot for him to thrive, and like you said, by the end of the season, it's like facing the young quarterbacks early in the season does seem to benefit us. But they decided, the NFL, when they scheduled this, they gave us a couple of the first round quarterbacks early on in the season, and then we get first round quarterbacks, including first overall pick and Caleb Williams, that week 17 game. So now we're back on the road, and this is, I believe, a Thursday game. And even though I don't have it notated here, because December 26th, we have Christmas Day games this year on Wednesday. Seahawks not falling into that, but the next day on Thursday, we're taking on the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, Shane Waldron heading up the offense for them. And a couple familiar names. It
is interesting that we're getting so many of the rookie quarterbacks that we saw go. That's something. And you would think overall, is that good or bad? Well, that should trend good, right? I mean, some of these quarterbacks might be amazing year 1. That's just not typically what happens. This is the odds are not that they'll be amazing year 1. So if they're all playing, we've got to face 4 of them. That's just straight up benefits Seattle because of that. The law of averages, I think, will take over. Don't blame the NFL for trying to get Caleb on prime time as much as possible. We're the benefactor of that. Super cool. Super cool. I love it.
And then closing out the season in LA Rams territory. Although, if they're out of it by this time, the departure of Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford may be hurt by this time. And then we just go into Lumen South, and all the Seahawks fans down in Southern California, we fill the stadium and we close it out like a home game.
Your point is smart. It just in that, I do expect that, again, Stafford healthy is everything. With Stafford healthy, I think they're competing with the Niners for the division. I think they might win it. If not us, of course, because we're going 17-0. With that, though, it's kind of cool that I would say this is in the upper quarter of hard games for Seattle, for sure. And it may not matter for the opponent. That's on the table. It might not matter. They might be in, out, one way or the other, landlocked into a position, resting dudes. That I know it's way early, but that's just advantage to us that's a possibility that this game might not matter.
Well, that is a run through our Seahawks 2024 schedule. And we are going to be bringing on Hawk Van Dyke, Dave Bloomquist onto the show. And in the past, we've done kind of the schedule breakdown, but now, Dave Bloomquist is a bigwig with his Starstruck by London YouTube series. And so if you are traveling to London It is now the show on YouTube to watch. I just got done watching, Dave, the feature that you did on all the places to avoid on your trip to London. So see, providing value by saving people time. And you don't need to go to a wax museum in London. Go look at the sites, people.
Well, thank you for that plug. That's it's been a labor of love. I really enjoyed doing it. I went out today and I filmed Fitzrovia for next week, so there was a lot of fun little things there. So I also want to tell you how much I appreciate you guys doing all your off-season stuff. It's really cool. We're going through what might be a rebuild, and you guys are just very good at getting everybody excited and pumped up and really optimistic about the season.
Wait, did you say you're not optimistic about the season, or you are?
When I listen to you guys, I get touches of optimism.
He's starting to feel it, is what it boils down to, right? Because it might, like we said, like the McDonald thing it might not work, right? Or the Grubb thing might be disastrous. We don't know. So tons in the air. And yes, I'd say we do slant typically more optimistic than not, I'd say, right?
Yeah. And you know what? My feeling is, doesn't matter what the record is. I've gone through it all as a fan. If they're entertaining to watch, I am totally cool with that.
Yeah. I mean, parts of last year, they were not, right? I mean, there were spells last year. It was like, this is really difficult. I will watch every single second of it, but watching that Steelers game is like seared, that was seared into my heart of like, this is bad and we need to do better. So I'm with you. The entertaining part, I think, will be up level for sure.
Yeah. And, I'm going to miss having you in the league, Clinton, my ex-league mate.
Yeah, there it is. So for those that don't know,
right.
this is great. We have a Seahawks Pod Ring of Honor Fantasy Football League, and there's two. It's like is it Premier or whatever the soccer is over in Europe, but there's relegation. So there's 2 12-team leagues, and I ended up in the bottom 2 last year. I still don't know how, and I'm relegated to whatever the lower division. And I'm going to fight back, Dave. I will see you next year. I'll be back in the big boy league, and I look forward to. I was humbled, and I'm going to look forward to getting back up to the premiership.
Well, based on how I ended my season, we could be passing each other. How do you like this fantasy talk, Brandon?
Yeah, not so much into it. Let's get back to the schedule talk, okay. Dave, and let's just your initial reaction to the schedule. It does look like San Fran. Let's see. Do they? I think they have their bye about the same time, so that may be a wash in terms of how that works out for Seattle. But overall, I sense you're a little bit skeptical about the season, which is fine because it's a first-year head coach. I think we've kind of talked through that a little bit, is that there's a lot of unknowns about what that's going to mean having a first-year head coach and going into the season. But, you tend to look for patterns within the schedule to see where Seattle may have gotten hosed by the league. And I'm just curious if anything jumps out at you right away.
Well, normally I have the benefit of a couple days and a schedule grid to prepare for something like this. But you give me a half hour, and I did get a lot of little insights here. So hold on one second.
Nope, okay. There it is. There's the tinfoil hat.
Wonderful. Another reason to go to YouTube, right? YouTube.com/Seahawks podcast. Subscribe, like. I see the tinfoil hat. That's great.
Okay, so let me tell you how bad we were screwed this year. This is something that you guys did not go over because you did not have the benefit of that half hour to analyze the schedule. Okay. Week 3, Dolphins play coming off of a week 2 Thursday night football. They have a mini bye. Week 5, the Giants, they play the Cowboys on Thursday night football. Week 4, they are coming off a mini bye. Week 9, the Lambs playing the Vikings on Thursday night in week 8. They are coming off a mini bye. The Sharks are playing us after their season bye. The Jets are playing us after their season bye. The Packers play the Lions in week 14 on Thursday Night Football. And then they have a mini bye against us. And then we get a gift. Thank you, Roger Goodell, for giving us a gift. In week 16, the Vikings are coming off of a Monday night game, so they have a short week. So if you're keeping score here, 6 teams we play off of a bye or a mini bye this year. That is appalling.
That's tough. And then to add to that, the short week, Thursday Night Football, going on the road to Chicago. I mentioned that 49ers Thursday night, that we had the benefit there. But yeah, then to have another short week where we then go on the road.
Yeah. So what I do is I just lay out the schedule and I look at who's playing who in the week before. And then I just kind of make a little notation of whether we have a good situation or a bad situation for the game. And there's a lot of red on this list. So, and it's just one of those things, it comes from the benefit of checking out these schedules. Now, I do want to fully disclose that last year I was piping up about how we were playing the Ravens when the Ravens were playing a bunch of road games in a row and then coming off of a game in London without a bye. And then they just turned around and crushed us in probably the best favorable situation that we could have had. So, it's an inexact science, but I also have looked back at some of the notes that I made last year, and a couple of them were right on the mark. One thing that we can see here, which is good, is this is the year that the NFC has the extra home games. So we have the 9 home games. They didn't send us to any weird foreign countries. So, that Morocco game is not going to take one of our home games away, which is good. However, even though we have 9 home games and 8 road games, they still managed to put us 4 out of 6 on the road at the end of the season. I don't know how to do that. That little AI that they use to create these schedules, they probably type in "screw Seahawks" as bad as possible, and then they come up with this garbage.
Well, real quick though, with that, one place is in Lumen East, right? So that's against the Jets. Lumen East is typically favorable to us, which is good. I don't have too much more for the rest of it, but at least one of those 4 is in a spot where we tend to perform very well.
Right. So Lumen East, when the Jets are coming off their bye.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. I do wonder, and I know you'll probably look at it later too, as compared to other teams. Obviously, it's gonna be probably pretty big swings. So when you have a chance to look at it, it'd be cool to be interesting. At least I'm cool, but interesting to know. Oh yeah. What was it, 5-1 or 6-1? Imbalance that way?
Yeah, that's usually what I do with Brandon is right. I go over the other divisional opponents and see what's going on. When I have time to go through that on the schedule grid, I'll just pop it on Facebook or Discord and see what that disparity might be.
To see what they did for the Rams again this year, right? Because as you've said, football's got to work in LA, right? So
yeah, Lambs. So there's really only three or 4 games that are not bad for us. So the Bills is actually a favorable game for us because, and this is how crazy this scenario is. The Bills game is a good scenario for us because they do not come off of a bye week or a short week. They're the first team that we play all season that just plays a normal week before playing us, and it's at home. And then, of course, we talked about the Vikings coming off of Monday Night Football. And I kind of through one eye am looking at the first Winers game and saying, okay, they're the road team on the short week. So, maybe that's good. Plus, we are staying at home because we played the Giants the week before. So that's favorable. As you guys already mentioned, I love playing 2 rookies in the first 2 weeks or caretaker quarterbacks if Brissett and Stidham end up playing. But I also don't like the last 2 games on the road. If we're making a late push for that 6th or 7th playoff spot, it's not cool to be on the road. But it is what it is. We face this every year, and we fought through it before, and we'll see what we can do this year.
We've got our Ryan 911 coming in via the chat. $9.99 super chat. Our live executive producer. Go Hawks! # believe the conspiracy. Yes, there you go. You have at least one believer in the chat, Dave. You are starting. Your cult has now has a following.
That's right. Paid $10 to believe in that. So, what do you guys think about the throwbacks? What weeks do you want to see the throwbacks?
Ooh, throwback week for the Seahawks.
Let's assume there's two.
All right.
Well, okay, so that it's only blue, right? It's the blue. So does that eliminate what games get eliminated?
I don't know if
probably most of the road games. I don't see road team that we play generally wears white at home.
What do the Lions wear at home? Do they wear the Honolulu Blues?
Yeah, they've got sharp new uniforms. They went back to their old uniforms, the old Barry Sanders uniforms this year.
And they wear the blue at home. Yeah, okay. Just trying to see if that'd be sharp. I was trying to get them wearing our blues that game, but that won't cut it. So all right.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see them play the Jets on the road in the blues, because the first game that I ever went to live in 1980 was at Shea Stadium. And
Nice.
And it was the Seahawks beating the Jets, and they had the old Sack Exchange logo, which they just went back to this year. That was the comment on wrong logo, and they went back to that Sack Exchange logo. So that would be really cool to see that. But I think the Bills in Week 8 is probably where we're going to see them, because the Bills have that uniform that really isn't different from the 70s and 80s type of uniforms. So kind of has that same look that the Browns and the Cowboys had. It really looked like a throwback game because both teams look like old style.
Yeah, Green Bay on prime time would make a little bit of sense if you want to use that kind of thought process. I'm with the snail, all throwbacks all the time. That I like that thought too. But I also like what Ryan's saying. Week 1 versus Denver, you have that classic AFC West matchup. And I think the Broncos did a little bit of something to their uniform. I think they have some throwbacks that they're rolling out this year. So we have Week 1 at home, throwbacks versus throwbacks to start the season. That'd be kind of fun.
I don't think the Broncos will do it to give us what we all deserve and what our eyes deserve, because they did just roll out new uniforms. So yes, they are doing the orange throwbacks as well as part of their trifecta, if you will. But they do have redesigned uniforms, and they're not very good. They're really minimalist and kind of like not. They're kind of boring in my opinion. But as a franchise, I don't think they're going to come out with new unis and then not wear them Week 1. Is my guess.
No, and anytime we ever play the Broncos, we should be wearing white tops and blue bottoms and like the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. See, there we go. That would be a bold move for the new head coach to come out and then go into the Super Bowl style uniforms, the away jerseys for Week 1 against the Broncos. I would bet that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you'd have that. You got Pete Carroll raising the 12 flag, right? And Sherman on the sidelines and the whole thing already. Probably not happening. I agree as well. However,
I kind of expect Pete Carroll to raise the flag.
Well, who is that? Who do you think?
I think Pete's going to raise the flag at some point this year.
You think first? Yeah, maybe sometime this year. Maybe. I actually wouldn't think he would year 1. I don't know. I think giving the new coach some distance, I think that'd be like kind of Pete's thing. Like, no, have it your way, and then do it some other time down the road, I guess. And obviously McDonald wants to completely erase history, remove all the photos from every hallway, and pretend like we didn't beat the Broncos 43-8, though we did, and it was lovely.
I think now if we're talking 12th man flag raisers, to start the year off, the one that makes a lot of sense would be to have Malcolm Smith raise up the 12th flag, the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
He's done it before, but just that nod back to the Broncos. I like that idea.
or Cam Chancellor, the guy who
you could have the
won
real MVP raise the flag if Cam Chancellor comes to do
or
it. Yeah,
Cliff Averill, who was also, potentially an MVP.
Yeah.
Look, the Broncos tortured all of us as children. Like, we lost to them all the time. The Elway teams destroyed us all the time when we were in the AFC West. So every chance we get to beat the Broncos, whether it's the Super Bowl, preseason, or week 1 of the regular season, I'm going to celebrate it. I celebrate the entire collection, and I think it's a nice opening for us still.
See, now that's the Broncos' justification for wearing the throwbacks against us. That's the only thing that needs to beat us. And also, I did want to mention before we go here is we do play at the Burial Ground in week 14, but I think the curse is broken last year because that was Pete Carroll's last game. Yeah.
If that curse goes along with Pete, then yeah, I think that's fair. And I'm glad, speaking of cursed games, we have Green Bay coming to town because we've been cursed by Mike Holmgren ever since he won his return game in Green Bay. We haven't been able to win there. So we're facing Green Bay in Seattle, where we've actually had most of our success against Green Bay.
Well, how about a little play on words here? When you were saying a curse game, I thought you were saying the 12th man flag raiser will be, Jermaine Kearse, who of course catches the touchdown to send us back to the second Super Bowl. So we can reverse the curse with Jermaine Kearse on that day.
Spicy.
Careful, spicy takes already.
All right, guys. Well, before we get on out of here, how about if you had to pick one game in this schedule that you wanted to attend, where are we going with it?
You talking away or home, or don't matter?
It doesn't matter. Just pick one.
Gloomy, you go first. You're in London.
I think this is pretty clear. I want to see them beat a suck Patriots team. I would love to just show up to that stadium with the the 20,000 people that show up now.
When you're looking at games that are winnable, that one jumps out as probably the biggest opportunity because it's going to be a new head coach. It's either going to be a quarterback getting his first start at home, or it's going to be a backup quarterback. And I don't know if they've done a lot with that offensive line to where you were really worrying about that New England offense. Not a ton of additions. It's still a team in transition. And despite it being their home opener, it does feel like one of the more winnable games when you look at the entire schedule.
Yeah, and of course, the 4 or 10 years ago, Austin Hawk would be the prodigal son returning.
And you hate the Patriots. Yeah, so that's makes a ton of sense.
Heat of 1,000 sons.
All adds up for you, Bloomy. I would love for us to keep beating Detroit and just like vexing them. Like to be that team, like we don't understand. We can't figure out the Seahawks. Detroit wins 13 games, but not against us type thing. And that'd be a lot of fun. That's a good team. Yeah, it's a fun sports city. Good, easy to travel to, central. So
Lions. Jerome Bettis is from there.
Sure.
Hang out with him.
Yeah, that's fine also.
Just throwing out all the things that I know and remember about Detroit.
How about you, Brandon? You not Seattle. Actually, whatever. Dealer's choice. Where would you go?
I like the road opportunities. If I'm gonna go to a game, though, I want to see that Niners game on Thursday Night Football, the first primetime game in Seattle with the new head coach and against our division rivals. That feels like a really solid game to try and go to.
A little risky, careful. I love it, but yeah. Again, hopefully by then the Niners are
it's risky, but think about how awesome it would be celebrating, walking down the ramp after a win over the stupid 49ers coming off their Super Bowl season.
Yes.
They're, maybe you're sending them to 2-4 by that time of the year, and then it's looking dismal for them.
Well, Brandon, I got to hop. So I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, guys.
Go Hawks.